Hey everyone, welcome back to Corporate Decoder, the place where we try to figure out if these giant companies are actually making money or just playing with fancy spreadsheets. Today we are diving deep into a treasure trove of financial data from Nuveen investment funds. Incorporated, this is not just some dry report, it's a yearly snapshot of how multiple investment funds are doing, and trust me, there are some juicy details in here. First off, let's talk about the sheer scale of this operation. Nuveen Investment Funds is managing billions of dollars across a whole range of funds. Nuveen Dividend Value Fund, Nuveen Large Cap Select Fund, Nuveen Mid Cap Value Opportunities Fund, and many more, a real smorgasbord of investment options before. We get lost in the numbers. A quick heads up: if you appreciate us decoding these massive documents, if you do give this video a thumbs up and subscribe, it really helps us out. And if you want to chat about these filings further, join our Discord community linked in the description below. Alright, let's get right into the heart of it for the fiscal year ending the 31st of October 2025. These funds collectively reported massive net assets totaling over $3 billion. That's a huge sum of money being managed. Now let's zero in on the Dividend Value Fund, which is a big player with over $31 billion in net assets. Its portfolio holdings as of the 31st of October 2025 show a strong focus on common stocks totaling around $31 billion, with key holdings in utilities, capital goods, and healthcare equipment and services. Looking at the portfolio of investments for Dividend Value Fund, we see significant entries like Bank of America Corp, valued at over $43 million, Citigroup Inc. at nearly $75 million, and Wells Fargo Suiamp company at over $60 million. They are also heavily invested in capital goods companies like Dover Corp, Emerson, Electric Co, and Honeywell International Inc. Their stake in media and entertainment giants like Alphabet Inc. is also substantial at over $162 million. Then we have the Large Cap Select Fund with net assets of around $49 million. Its portfolio is also stacked with big names, with Alphabet Inc. alone valued at almost $3 million. Microsoft Corp is another major holding their investments in semiconductors and semiconductor equipment like Broadcom Inc. and Nvidia Corp are also eye-catching. Moving on to the Mid Cap Value Opportunities Fund, which has net assets of over $343 million. This fund is spread across a variety of sectors, including capital goods, consumer durables, and apparel and energy. Their holdings in nVent Electric plc and Carlyle Companies Inc. show a specific focus. The Small Cap Growth Opportunities Fund, with net assets of over $316 million, shows a significant allocation to capital goods, where Kratos Defense, Fintry, Arm Amp Security Solutions Inc. is a notable holding. They also have a considerable investment in semiconductors and semiconductor equipment, including Credo Technology Group holding Ltd. And Rigetti Computing Inc. The Small Cap Select Fund, with net assets of over $384 million, is heavily invested in banks and capital goods, with companies like Ameris Bancorp and AeroVironment Inc. making up significant portions of its holdings. The Small Cap Value Fund, with net assets of around $264 million, seems to have a strong emphasis on banks, with multiple regional banks listed, and also significant exposure to capital goods. The Small Mid Cap Growth Opportunities Fund, with net assets of over $168 million, is focused on capital goods and financial services, with a notable presence in Rigetti Computing Inc. and Credo Technology Group, holding Ltd. Now let's look at the financial performance presented in the Statement of Operations for the year ended the 31st of October 25, the DE. Dividend Value Fund reported net investment income of over $44 million, which is quite solid. However, the Small Cap Growth Opportunities Fund reported a net investment loss of over $772,000. This highlights the varied performance across the funds. Focusing on the Dividend Value Fund, particularly, we see realized gains from investments at astronomical levels at over $187 million, and a change in unrealized appreciation of over $45 million. This resulted in a net increase in net assets by a massive $276 million. Contrast this with the Small Cap Growth Opportunities Fund, which, while it had realized gains of over $24 million, also had a significant negative change in unrealized appreciation of over $24 million, resulting in a net increase in net assets of about $34 million. Looking at the Statement of Assets and Liabilities for the Dividend Value Fund as of the 31st of October 2025, its total assets were over $31 billion, with over $31 billion in long-term investments. The net assets then come in at over $31 billion, showing a stable, strong financial position. The small cap value fund, on the other hand, has total assets of over $267 million, with over $263 million in long-term investments and a net asset value of over $264 million. And here is where things get interesting. The financial highlight section gives us a per S hair look at the performance over several years. For the dividend value fund class, a share's the net asset value per S hair at the end of the period was around $15.42. The total return for the year was a healthy 8.87%. This is a good return, but it is worth noting that the previous year saw a much higher return of over 28%. The large cap select fund class of shares ended the period with a net asset value per share of about $46.03 and a total return of 17.84%. For the year, this is a strong performance showing good growth. However, the net investment income loss for this class was higher than the previous year. The mid-cap value opportunities fund class of shares closed the period with a net asset value per S-hair of about $58.55 and delivered a total return of 7.54% for the year. While a positive return, this is less than the previous year's performance, which was over 25%. For the small cap growth opportunities fund class, a share's the net asset value per S-hair was around $29.96, and the total return for the year was 16.13%. Notably, the gross expenses were higher than the net expenses, for this class indicating some advisory fee waivers. The small cap select fund class, of shares ended the period with a net asset value per S-hair of about $11.08 and a total return of 9.54% for the year. While the total return is positive, the net investment income loss is something to keep an eye on. The small cap value fund class of shares finished with a net asset value per S-hair of $31.34 and a total return of 3.30% for the year. This is a relatively modest return compared to other funds, but the net investment income is positive. And finally, the small and mid cap growth opportunities fund class, as shares closed at a net asset value per share of $28.32 and delivered a total return of 12.29% for the year. This fund has seen a significant net investment income loss, which is a point of concern now. For the juicy part, the fees and expenses, the report details how much the management fees are for each fund, and they vary quite a bit. For the dividend value fund, the management fees alone were over $18 million. That is a massive chunk taken out before any profits are even considered. The large cap select fund, on the other hand, had management fees of only around $300,000. This difference highlights how scale and strategy impact costs. The mid-cap value opportunities fund incurred management fees of about $3 million. It seems like the management fees track with the size of the fund, which makes sense. The small cap growth opportunities fund management fees were just under $2 million, and the small cap select fund had similar fees at about $1.3 million. The small cap value fund had management fees of over $2.3 million. The small mid-cap growth opportunities fund had management fees of about $1.3 million. So what is the story here, Nuveen Investment Funds? Inc. is a massive entity managing a diverse portfolio of funds, and the financial performance varies quite a bit from fund to fund. Some funds, like dividend value, are performing exceptionally well with huge gains, while others, like small cap growth opportunities, experience a net investment income loss. The fees are substantial across the board, reflecting the complexity and scale of managing these investment vehicles. The management fees for the larger funds are in the tens of millions, which is a significant expense for shareholders. The analysis of these reports reveals Nuveen operates a well-established but complex structure, with each fund having its own performance characteristics and cost structure. While some funds show strong growth and profitability, others demonstrate challenges that warrant closer observation. The sheer size of the assets under management suggests a stable company, but the performance variance across funds highlights the importance of diversification and careful selection by investors. Overall, the filings paint a picture of a robust, large-scale investment operation with a clear strategy for managing multiple funds, each with its own set of risks and rewards. The financial tables reveal the intricate details of their performance and expenses, and it is these details that truly tell the story of their success and their challenges. Now, looking at these results more broadly, Nuveen Investment Funds Inc. appears to be a major player in the investment management industry, with a diverse range of funds catering to different investment needs. Their financial health seems strong overall given the massive assets under management. However, the varied performance among individual funds suggests that picking the right fund within the Nuveen family is crucial for investors. What is your take on these numbers and what they signal for the company's future drop? Your thoughts in the comments, we love hearing your insights. If this analysis was valuable, hitting that like button really helps, and subscribe for more deep dives into corporate finance and investment strategies. Don't forget to check out our Discord community linked in the description below to keep the conversation going. Got more questions or want to suggest a filing for us to break down? Let us know. Thanks for watching. See you next time.